"75 years in ministry. It's hard to believe how quickly the time has gone by since Brookwoods was just 8 campers. From those first 8 campers in 1944 to the opening of Deer Run 20 years later, to the miraculous saving at the camp through the love and support of George Bennett in 1973, and then the gift of Moose River Outpost in 1999 from Ken Olson. What an incredible legacy."
I'm Don Pauly, one of the first 8 boys that came to Camp Brookwoods in 1944, and I was 9 years old. And so Brookwoods became the place I wanted to be every summer, as long as I could. And it was the beginning of a love affair that I have never, ever gotten over, this place.
So my name's Chris Jacobson, and you can call me Skipper. I got that name because I was the sailing instructor my first year on staff. It's more than just sailing for me, and I think it's more than just sailing for the kids. Life is like a sailboat, and there are times in life where you have a lot of wind behind you in your sails, and there's times where you're just out there in the middle of the water, bobbing around and not sure what direction to go. You know, following the wind, being able to read the wind, is analogous to deciding how you go through your own life.
As the director of Deer Run for so many years, it's been just a privilege to be able to watch girls go from 9-year-old campers up to adulthood, and to see them take on their faith and go into so many different arenas. You know, we have alumni that are doctors and lawyers and businesswomen and opera singers and artists and stay-at-home moms, and they tell me that camp has given them just a wonderful foundation for being a light in the world in, you know, whatever arena they're in.
I definitely grew up in a Christian home and knew Christ, but camp was foundational and continues to be, especially the friendships.
The first day of our CIT, I really didn't know everyone in our group. I actually only knew a couple people, and I specifically remember you, and you were like, "Yeah, let me introduce you," and we came and hung out on the front lawn, and that's when I met everybody. I think probably pretty quickly at that point I knew that we would be friends for life. A couple years ago, I went through a really hard time in my life, and everyone came. Those friendships, you don't get that every day.
Being here at camp, I saw faith lived out, like in a real life situations. I saw my counselors and friends that I was here with, these people that I looked up to, grabbing hold of faith and walking it out. And looking back now, you realize that you're seeing the church as a whole. You're seeing it across the nations even, because we have friends who came from other countries who were here with us. And to know that we're spread out and that the gospel's out there, like, you don't feel so alone when you're in your bubble of public school and really just everyday life.
For the first time, I had a group of Christian peers that I didn't really ever have before. I'd always gone to church growing up, but I had never been at a place with so many people who were all so different from one another, but shared the same belief system. So it was really special for me, and that's what kept me coming back. And one of the greatest gifts of my life has been to meet the people that I've met at Brookwoods.
This year we had an opportunity to celebrate our 75th anniversary with Brookwoods. We had over 400 people come back to the grounds of camp. It was a wonderful time getting reacquainted with people, establishing memories again, and looking forward to the future. We're going to kick off the next 75 years with a capital campaign. The capital campaign is going to be centered on people, it's going to be centered on programs, and it's going to be centered on facility. And here's some ideas of what we'll be accomplishing.
I think what's really unique is that even though camp has changed over the years, maybe the building, the property, the activities, the mission of camp has stayed the same. That's what really has made the biggest impact on people's lives.
This is our cabin. Good morning, Daniel.
So the Ranger unit was originally built in 1964, and it's provided a space to build 2 generations of leaders. Recently, it's been needing a lot of repairs. We've seen that it needs a big renovation.
I had a real sense of belonging here, and I think the camp has done that in terms of helping people find their place and treating each one like they're individuals, valuing their stories. And I think that's what makes the camp so appealing to folks, is that we're actually investing in those kids and investing in people. And that becomes a lifelong thing. It provides an invitation to be part of this. Campers feel that, staff definitely feel that. And then that somehow transcends even beyond the camp.
So Brookwoods has been a powerful influence on my life, always has been. That's the people that were here. And one of the great things that Dr. Lenzel taught me and Dr. Andreessen taught me was that faith without works doesn't mean anything. So all our lives, my wife, we've been married 63 years next month. We have a purpose to take care of other people. Our house became a safe haven for many single moms. This is what we purposed our life for because of Brookwoods, to help those that needed help.
Moose River Outpost is an extension of the ministry at Brookwoods and Deer Run. We've been blessed here with a full camp, and now we have room to grow up in Maine. We have a 7,000-acre property. Camp is small, it's 100 kids at a time. Our campers tell us that it feels like family. Everybody knows your name, you know everybody in camp, which is really cool, and it lends itself to doing what we value as core to our ministry. So seeking Christ together, building community at camp, and embracing adventure. And we think that that adventure piece builds experiences between people, and that builds community. And then that gives you an opportunity to see Christ together. So the Next 75 campaign is gonna provide MRO with a whole bunch of things. Now we're at this 100-kid mark, and we're physically outgrowing a few spaces. And so the projects that we've identified to do in this Next 75th campaign are gonna help us with that growth.
So the Falcon building is going to be a home base for the SALT program in the summertime. This place will serve as a place to sleep, but also have meetings there, Bible studies, devotionals. This building will also serve camp in the off-season for our retreat groups, or even some of our off-season staff that don't have a place to stay currently.
One of the challenges of running camp every summer is the fact that sometimes we can't control everything, particularly the weather.
Camp keeps going no matter what the weather. Often we'll be outside in the rain, but there are times when we've just had enough of the rain and we need a space inside.
And having an indoor recreation center will mean a lot to our program here at camp to deliver what we want to do with the kids.
It'll provide a space where if we have rainy day programming, campers can go in there and either have gym time, free time, or some organized activities.
One of the beauties of the Capital Campaign, it supports not only the camp ministry, but also the conference ministry, which a lot of people aren't aware of. The conference hosts in New Hampshire approximately 6,000 people every year. And having a building like a Falcon building, which we can use for additional housing, and also with the multi-purpose building, where groups have additional tools to use when they're up here, it just be a huge help and a big asset for them and allow us to minister to more people up here.
So the reason why Brookwoods holds such a special place in my heart is this is where I actually met Jesus Christ. I remember when I was in the Moose cabin, and that was kind of when who Jesus was first introduced to me as the Son of God. It's something that I believed, but it wasn't until I was a woodchuck that on the last night of camp, our counselor gave us a survey just kind of asking how everything went for the entire 2 weeks that we were here. And one of the last quick questions that he asked was, "Are you a Christian?" And I circled no. And when we handed them all in, he invited me over to his bunk and just said, "Hey, I was surprised that you answered no to this. Is this something that you seem to know and believe?" And I just said, well, it's something I never actually professed my faith in. I never actually asked Jesus into my heart. So on one day, 26 years ago, I prayed with my counselor to accept Jesus Christ into my heart. And then fast forward a few years, I actually got to be a counselor of the Woodchuck Cabin and had that same privilege of leading one of my campers to receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior.
But my favorite part of camp is that it gives young people the opportunity to find out what they're good at. Because I think it's really important for kids who are camp age to have one thing that they're really good at that differentiates them from all the other kids. And at a place like camp, you can find out what that thing is. For some kids, it's sailing. For others, it's soccer. But for others, it's you're the kid who makes the other kids laugh on the hike when you're almost to the top. You're the kid who guards the jail in Thunderball. You're the kid that's just the wackiest during Crazy Carnival. And I think it's important that kids come here and they have a chance to look into themselves and find what that special thing is about them.
Brookwoods set the path for my life. That's what it did.
Camp is all about transforming lives. And we've seen in the testimony of some of these people already how important it is in their lives, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we see. The bottom line for the Capital Campaign is getting kids to camp and showing them a wonderful time and having those transformational experiences. Most people don't realize, but 1/3 of the kids that come to Brookwoods, Deer, and Moose River Outpost receive some form of scholarship. But the scholarship comes from really two sources. It comes from the annual giving program. It also comes from our scholarship endowment program. In order to allow those transformational experiences for those kids, we need to continue our growth in our scholarship program and meet those needs of those kids that need to come to camp, Brookwoods, Deer, or Moose River Outpost.
Your support of this campaign will help MRO hit its first 25, and then it's 50, and then eventually it's 75. And it's exciting for MRO to be a part of the Brookwoods and Deer family and the legacy of this ministry that gets to extend up into Maine and happen at Moose River Outpost.
You know, it's my hope that everybody out there will take some part and leave a legacy for our future Deer Run campers by participating in this campaign.
The last 75 years of camp have been wonderful. We're looking forward to the next 75, and we'd like you to join us.